Hello, my name is Olorotimi Osha. Today is August the 28th, 2026, and I decided I wanted to talk a little bit about um, the American ethos. That this is for my Nigerian audience, still trying to understand American people who want to, they have plans, hopes, and dreams of coming to study in America from Nigeria or Africa, and or they're seeking opportunities to emigrate through the diversity visa program, which was paused by President Trump's administration. I think that was December 2025. um, I think there was a court order that that blocked that pause. I think this August. But I wanted to emphasize how America sort of has this ethos, this value of luck, with all the fanfare about um, people pulling up themselves by their bootstraps in America. That everybody, that you're rewarded for what you put in, how hard you work. That's true. That happens in America. But when you remember our founding documents, the Declaration, which says all men are created equal, right? And so we aspire to that equality of opportunity, equality of ability. But the reality is, and the equality of economic opportunities, but that's not the reality, right? That's not the reality in America. It's not the reality in anywhere in the world. So, just as we know, some people are lucky they're born rich, right? You don't pick your parents. Being born to a wealthy parent has nothing to do with your own individual efforts. And when you're born to wealthy parents, a wealthy family, right, you have advantages that others who are not as fortunate do not have, right? So you are inherently placed ahead of others, just like President Donald Trump. By the way, another reason why I'm saying this is President Trump. I've seen in one of his interviews when he, on uh, what it takes to be successful. And I remember, he likes to talk about luck. That your luck, there's an element of luck to success. That you need luck. He says that a lot. That you need luck. So he was born lucky. He was lucky. He was born to a billionaire, right? A very wealthy person. Bill Gates, once the richest man in the world for a very long time, was born to the richest man, to the richest lawyer in the state of Washington. He was grandson of a bank president, right? His mother was a daughter of a bank president. So he was born wealthy. So he had advantages that others did not have, right? So how does America make up for that disparity in advantages, right? At birth and opportunities. There are clearly disparities in opportunities in America and in the world. America is not unique. So America tries to compensate for that through um, gambling and through the lottery, right? Through luck, right? The lottery has to do with luck. All you have to do is buy the ticket. You don't even have to buy the ticket. There was a case. Sometimes you can be given the ticket. There was I think in 1990, when I just came to America, 1999, there was a woman from Alabama, Tonda Dickerson. It was like big in the news then. A customer gave her a lottery ticket. She didn't even buy it. A customer gave her a lottery ticket, Florida lottery ticket, as a tip. And it turned out she ended up winning $10 million. And it was such a, controversial issue back then, right? She won $10 million. All of a sudden, a waitress, right? For some, so that was luck. She became instantly a millionaire. Talk about instantly a millionaire. Somebody just instantly became a billionaire this August the 12th, right? The Powerball, August 12th, 2026. Somebody won over $1 billion. Of course, they're anonymous. I think they're from Illinois or something. At least they bought the ticket at a gas station in Illinois, right? here in the United States, and they won over $1 billion, the Powerball. I remember when I used to work for Wachovia Securities. You know, the head of the office I was in, Wachovia Securities, a stockbroking firm in DC. It's part of Wells Fargo now. Used to distribute Powerball tickets to us, right? He'd give me a Powerball ticket like every frequently, and I used to just trash mine in the waste paper basket all the time because I'm somebody. I've never gambled. I've never bought a lottery ticket. I had a cousin who used to buy a lottery ticket all the time, who believed in it. Well, you've got to buy the ticket, but a dollar all the time, hey, it adds up, right? Little drops of water soon make a mighty ocean, right? It adds up. So I've never bought a lottery ticket, and I'm not somebody who goes to bank on luck. I like to plan. But the American ethos, the American value system has a huge element of luck because, it understands that for all that talk, the fanfare about, well, you reap what you sow, you know, you work hard, you get the rewards. People, get their success by what they put in. America, of course, understands that there's some people who are just born with inherent advantages, superior to what others have, right? So I guess it tries to level it off, right? It tries to equalize things to the best, extent that it can manage through the lottery system. And so we have the diversity lottery visa program, right? I know many people who came to America. They became green card holders through the diversity visa lottery program from Nigeria, right? And they've become successful in America through this diversity lottery program, right? It had nothing to do with their abilities or the money they had. Well, you have to meet qualifications, but the U.S. government just selects you, right? There's standards that you have. So there's a diversity visa lottery program, right? So, and the same thing, the Powerball ticket, right? The Powerball ticket, in which people win big time. They become billionaires instantly, like this new winner, August 12th, 2026, who won over $1 billion, right? But when I was in Troy, there was a man, everybody in Troy knew him. He was a black American man. He was elderly by this time, but everybody knew him to have won millions from the lottery, right? He became a millionaire, very wealthy from the lottery. And this was a man, he wasn't educated. He was a blue-collar worker. He was a laborer, but he bought a lottery ticket and he won. He became a millionaire and everybody knew him. By the way, they say people who, become millionaires by winning a lottery ticket, they often don't retain their wealth because, they don't have the financial management skills, right, to handle that level of financial success, right? That sort of windfall. So just, letting you understand that America has something built in, right, into a system, that element of luck, right? That element of luck. And I have to be honest, as much as I like to plan and everything, my experience in America, a lot of it has been luck as well. Many things I've been very lucky, right? Yes, I work hard and I plan, but I've been very lucky. And you can find luck anywhere, right? You can be lucky. So now it seems like, well, I'm going through a hard spell or, a difficult spell or, look, it's America. Your luck will change. That's the American thing. And, just keep slugging, keep hoping, and your luck will change, right? That's part of the American zeitgeist, right? You got to hang in there. One day I'll tell my story, the lucky opportunities I've had from where I did my MBA, from how I started my career in investments, in wealth management, in leading American banks, Bank of America as a stockbroker. So a lot of that has had to do with luck, right? I have a law degree. How I got my law degree, a lot of it has to do with luck, right? Americans will also add that, well, luck comes to those who work hardest, right? You will often hear that again from, you hear many traditional Americans say things like that, that luck comes to those who work hardest, right? So, you've got to hang in there. But there's that American mindset that, they should make somebody lucky, right? So you have that Powerball, like I said, somebody just became a billionaire from just buying a $1 ticket or whatever, right? Just buying a ticket and they're instantly a billionaire, right? That's taking us back. I remember again when I first came to America, the 1990s, 1999, Thunder Dickerson from Alabama, right? From Alabama. I went to school in Alabama, and she bought a Florida. She didn't even buy it. She was a waitress, and a customer gave her a tip, gave her a ticket, right? Florida lotto ticket, and she won $10 million. She instantly became a millionaire, right? And so, as part of American Zeitgeist, so don't begrudge or don't envy somebody else that just seems lucky. I remember when I first came, I was very lucky that I wasn't in line or anything like that. Within the first few weeks, I was immediately given a research assistantship. And typically, there are people who had been applying for years and they were stunned and they were like, how come I just got this? I didn't bribe anybody, I didn't do anything. I was just lucky, right? And even getting my visa, I remember my visa application all the way in Nigeria, the embassy. I knew people who were super rich and they had been planning for ages, right? To come and study in America, and they would get denied all the time. They would constantly get denied. In fact, there were people who would change their passports because of a denial, because I think people believed that once you got one denial, right, the next consular officer who sees that denial is just going to continue with that pattern, continues to deny you. So they would change their passports or alter their names or things like that so that they could start afresh, so they wouldn't be denied the next time, right? But when I went, I only applied for my visa once. The person who was standing in front of me was an Indian guy. This was in Lagos, Nigeria. Many people don't know that we have a huge Indian community in Lagos, Nigeria, right? People who were born there, right? And so he was an Indian guy and he wanted to go and study in America. And I remember the consular officer, he was right in front of me, and they denied him. He spent a long time talking elaborately, and they just said no. And once they've said no, they're not going to change their mind. So he was still trying to appeal to them, and they just threw his package on the floor, his packet. I should move out of the window, because it was a window. You're standing, in front of like a kiosk, whatever, a counter that, then there's a window, a divider, and the consular officer was a female. She threw his package away, and I was like stunned. So they called me. In fact, I was sort of dreamy because I was like, man, this person's so mean. The consular officer was so mean. Man, this must be bad. I was still lost in thought, and then they called me. So before I even finished two sentences, she was saying congratulations. So because I was trying to explain, I had my spiel, what I wanted to say, right? But I didn't make it two sentences, and I had already prepared. I'd already had all these questions and answers. I'd prepared this long, like a book, that all the questions they can possibly ask me, how I'm going to answer. She didn't even, and then my package, everything, I had everything. My dad had given me everything I needed, right? Before I finished two sentences, she was just saying congratulations. So I was like, what did she just say? And she smiled. She said, congratulations, come and get your visa tomorrow. So that was just luck. The first time I ever went, and she didn't even let me, I'd planned everything, what I was going to say. I had all these things that I'd planned to say, that, okay, she's going to ask me this question. I'm going to answer this way. I had all my documents. Had all my presentation, everything ready. Bank statements, my dad's bank statement, all my dad's assets, everything he owned, everything, I had all of that stuff. She didn't even let me say two sentences. Right, just two. Like I said one before I said the next thing. She just saying congratulations. I was like, so I didn't. So I thought she was interrupting me. So I did. I was like, what did she say? She said, yeah. She smiled at me. She said, congratulations. Come and get your visa tomorrow. Right. So that was just luck. Right. I was prepared, but she didn't get to see what I prepared or anything. It was just luck. Right. Imagine. I've also met people like that as well. Who they had no real plans. They just decided to just apply for the visa lottery program. They went and they got lucky, and they were approved. And they're American citizens now. They're tremendously successful. They're wealthy. So many different people. I have cousins like that as well. So a huge factor in the American makeup, right? The American Constitution makeup. I'm not talking about the U.S. Constitution, but I'm talking about the makeup of what it means to be America. There's a huge element of luck, right? Just like the patriots who came, the early people, they think they got lucky, right? They got lucky with America. So don't eliminate that factor of luck, right? But you've got to stay in the game to get lucky, right? And again, remember that American sentiment: luck comes to those who work hardest. My name is Olurotimi Osha. I hope I was just able to explain another element in the American zeitgeist. I'll keep you posted. Thank you.